This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center coming on the air on this Saturday late afternoon with a severe thunderstorm warning toward parts of Marion County there, looking toward northeastern Marion. It's a pretty rural area, but monitoring things very carefully here in toward the Weather Center, just trying to keep you guys informed. I'm going to go ahead and zoom on in here right now. We can see some of this lightning, some of this heavy rainfall areas there on Fort McCoy and Eureka. And again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning there until about 5:15. So I'm monitoring this carefully. A little more casual today here in the Weather Center since kind of was hoping we wouldn't get a warning, but that's just the way it goes. It's the weekend. Been, giving you these updates here day after day as things do require. And we do have this severe thunderstorm that was located near Fort McCoy moving northeast at about 5 miles an hour. So Fort McCoy there, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, both possibilities as we look there toward Marion County. So again, just going to try to monitor things here carefully. Let's look at velocity mode. We don't see a lot there right now. I'll back it up over the last 15 minutes or so. And you can see just watching the trends. We're so far away on the radar, it's going to be hard to kind of see exactly what's going on here as we're looking toward parts of Marion County. But the Jacksonville office didn't issue a warning. Always could have that burst of wind energy. So have to be mindful of that. As we broaden the view, we did have and we still do, it looks like have an advisory there. It's kind of hard to see, but right here at the coast toward parts of Camden and in toward Nassau here. Pretty strong thunderstorm. St. Mary's to Fernandina. Kind of thought this might be the one to get us a warning here. Getting some things ready just in case we had to go on for this. I didn't actually get a warning, but you see some pretty strong winds around O'Neill there in Nassau County. Seeing that track off toward the south into northern Duval County. So going to monitor things carefully with that there. A lot of wind enhancement for sure in terms of what we're seeing within the Doppler algorithms, but not enough for a warning with that. Again, we do have a warning here toward our south and toward Marion County. We also have a warning south of the area. We'll watch the progress of this here as we get toward central Florida. That's not our area, Lake and Orange, but just south of, the southeast tip of Marion, though it looks like, and I'll put the motion on this here over the last little bit. You can kind of see it moving off toward the east there a little bit. And it doesn't look like it's something that's an imminent threat in our area, but we have a lot of lightning with this storm here in toward parts of Marion. Just continuing to give you guys the very latest here on what's happening. I know we had that 30% coverage for rainfall today, and it's just kind of tricky here this time of year. Might have ended up being closer to like 40%, though, as we look out toward Tallahassee's radar. The coverage isn't too widespread at all. It's pretty isolated. Just maybe call it scattered, but I'd say more isolated out toward the Tallahassee counties here at this point in time. So again, watching a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Marion County here. As we give you guys the latest information, you see around northeast 135th Street there, northeast 152nd Street. Again, just trying to update you guys here on the progress of this severe thunderstorm warning for areas around Fort McCoy and Eureka there. Nothing too crazy, but we come on here just to let you guys know what's happening. There's 43 strikes here in this frame. In the last, and I'll back it out a little. You see 43 there in this frame, last 15 minutes. I'll go back 30. You'll see how in this frame it wasn't much, but you can kind of see how it was higher. So I think this storm's starting to already weaken. I'll back it out some so we can watch it a little bit better. You can see we're in the 60s, and then we got that down into the 40s here. So we're starting to maybe already see that weakening, but sometimes you can get a push of wind energy when a storm weakens in this type of a summertime environment here. So again, just going to continue to give you guys the latest. Let me see if there's any questions, comments here from any of the viewers watching at home. It looks like there we have a few folks there. Jason, Peter Trail Adventures, Nair watching there, Nick's, Fire Larry Trains, and then we have a viewer there up toward the north there. As we're getting further up, I know some stronger storms even outside of our southeastern Georgia zones up toward like the Hinesville area there, according to our viewer there on YouTube, just talking about the overall meteorological scenario there. So again, just trying to update you guys, though, as we track things, as we give you guys the latest information here. I'm going to broaden it back out. I know you see stuff to the north there. If you're traveling up I-95 there, definitely seeing some storm accident toward the west of 95 there and toward that Savannah TV market. But As we get down here toward our area, you can kind of see. Here around Fernandina Beach and toward this area. This is a pretty strong thunderstorm. It's not quite severe warned, but I'm just going to monitor the progress of it here over the next little bit. I'm just going to watch things around Nassauville there, in toward areas there of Nassau County, ironically. So a lot of lightning. I mean, this is more lightning here, to be completely honest with you. And let's go ahead and we'll kind of tilt it back. We're going to go ahead and we'll go back the past 30 minutes. You can see we were over 100, though, at one point with this. And right now we are dropping down to 78. So that's some good news. You know, if that warning goes away on us, I may leave the radar going here as we look ahead, just since we don't have any 537, since it is Saturday. Hopefully we don't have a warning continuing here, but again, just trying to give you guys the very latest information to protect and inform you, your friends, your family. It's a very sparsely populated area, but there are a few folks out here. I mean, it's impacting Northeast 135th Street areas there as we get in Roy Tide. I mean, this is a community here in toward Marion County. It's not just out in like a reservation or something. Northeast 151st Street, Northeast 150th Place, Northeast 152nd Street. You kind of get the idea. Lake Kerr Road. And I'll go ahead and go over to the topography mode here. As we show you guys, this is the overall story. You can see there are some homes in here. Could have a burst of wind energy, knock a tree down, knock a power line down. It's not that big of a deal. It's summertime in Florida, but it's enough to jump in because, you know, severe thunderstorm warning. I know when we don't have a warning, we'll have like the interactive radar available on the website there. It's always available, and in the app. But, you know, just jumping in here right now. It's a Saturday. Again, I may leave the radar. I'm planning on leaving the radar going. Okay, we're going to have to stay with this a little longer. They've extended this warning now further up. Again, you just never know because it takes just a little bit of a signature on Doppler. These are not, you know, this is not like what you're going to see in other parts of the country here in terms, or in our area, even other times of the year. These are really hard to pick out signatures, to be completely honest with you. As we try to give you guys the very latest, I'm just checking some different color tables to try to pick stuff out. Let me take the Tampa radar. I mean, you can't, and they're protected by the Asta view. So again, you can't really tell, but we have a new warning. So let me go ahead and read that on off. We get to the Jacksonville radar. That's new warning until 5:30. So we're talking about there at 4:55. It's a severe thunderstorm. It was located there near Lake Delancey, 8 miles northwest of Salt Springs, moving northeast at 5 miles an hour. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gust and quarter-size hail now, according to the Weather Service in Jacksonville, northeastern Marion, and south central Putnam. So it actually does get into Putnam a little bit there. Lake Delancey, it's, you know, a weekend here in the summertime. You might be going to the lake. They're trying to get that tan, something like that. But unfortunately, right now, you have thunder in the area. You need to get inside. You need to get inside there, away from that lightning at minimum. Really, be nice to be in a site built structure, but just get away from that lightning at least. And don't, you know, like if you're having to just get in your car, make sure it's not parked under a tree or something like that. Make sure in a little bit better spot than that, if that's all you can get to is your car. Just make sure, you know, if you're at Lake Delancey there, you're not in a situation where you're just kind of having to have that car there out under a tree, because then that tree could fall. You're safe from the lightning in a way, though the lightning can strike at the tree, and that can be an issue too. But you're kind of in a spot there that's a little more adverse, because I'd be afraid that tree would fall. You don't want to be the tallest or near the tallest object there if you can help it, is what I'm saying, as we're giving you guys the very latest information. So again, let's go ahead and zoom on out here. We have the two warnings in our area. Let's look to the north here. You see Fernandina, a lot of folks there at the beach trying to enjoy things. There's a marine warning up there. We have, looks like they dropped the other polygon here, as it's more getting into this polygon now. Again, this does get into a little bit of Putnam County here. It does get into a little bit of Putnam there, as we're giving you guys the updated details. I mean, it's a small sliver. I was going to draw it a different way, but you can kind of see it there. And then there's a little sliver over here as well, west of Willaca. So again, and I'm kind of in the way of Willaca. Let me make sure I can see stuff behind me. I know I was standing in front of Flagler County last night on some of our stuff in our full update. I was kind of wore out. I'm still kind of wore out, but, you know, just trying to give you guys the latest, that we haven't, you know, had a day off here in the Weather Center since after that first week of our updates. We didn't have anything that first weekend was severe, but since then, every weekend we've been on having to give you the latest. So hoping maybe today we wouldn't have that, but we do right now. And this is west of Willaca, though, southwest of Willaca, and toward parts parts of Marion County right now, but moving toward Putnam. So let's try to do a storm track on this. I try to update you guys here. I know we have the other accent south that looks more robust, really, and then the Fernandina accent concerns me some too. But let me go ahead and we'll get back on in here. We'll get back on in here as we look at the latest information. We're going to go ahead and just keep you guys up to date with this with a track. I know the hail indicators there too. Northeast at 5, so moving very slowly. That means torrential rainfall, but you can see some indications of hail there. Maybe right around the Paco Patch landing area, North Cross Road here. Let's go to the Barron button. We'll go to the Barron button. You can see some of that here right around North Cross Road. Maybe some hail indications. And I said I'm going to do a track, though, so let's go ahead and do that here. I know our indicators are taking a little more easterly. I think it's going, let's see, we'll watch it. I think it's, yeah, we're going to track it as the warning boxes are. So only 5 miles an hour, so I might not really pick up on anything. I'm going to try that again because I'm going to track it from this lead edge at the bottom here. I mean, you could track it. There's quite a bit of light in that lead edge here. I mean, it's only parts of the warning there, and then we'll see what we can come up with our rank size. Make some small communities try to appear, and they are not going to appear because it's a pretty rural area. So again, that's kind of the storyline right now here at 5:01 on this Saturday. You know, a lot of our area staying dry, but we have like storms around Fernandina. We have storms down in here. So we just have to be vigilant in terms of that thunder activity. Remember, when thunder roars, you do want to go indoors here. Just got to remember that here in terms of those lightning safety tips. Lightning can strike miles away from a parent storm. So just got to be really cognizant there. Got to be really cognizant. Lightning can strike miles away from a parent storm in terms of power outages right now. You can kind of see there are a few down toward Putnam, Marion, Levy, and Nassau as well. So these storms having somewhat of an impact here on this Saturday as we look at the very latest weather information. So we're also going to look at rainfall here. Let me go ahead and kind of see what I can come up with here in terms of that information. We'll go to hydro. We'll go to our 6-hour totals. You can see off toward the south here, 3 inches. And that is quite a bit there as we're looking. So right there around northeast, just to the east, maybe of northeast 150th Avenue. It's this Avenue Road, but you get the idea there as we give you guys the update. Cedar Creek also has quite a bit there, about 2 inches. Let me go ahead. You can see the lightning here. Again, this Axon, Hamilton County, Columbia County, Baker. Got lightning here east of, it looks like, as I zoom on in here, east of areas like Molasses Junction, west of St. Augustine. So just need to be cognizant of that as well. On a summertime day, you're trying to go to the beach. You're watching out for rip current survey. You're trying to enjoy things, get that tan there. But it's a situation right now where you'd have to remember whenever thunder roars, you need to go indoors. You need to go indoors here as we're giving you guys these latest updates. So again, just trying to let you guys know that storyline. Let me see if there's any more questions, comments from any of the viewers at home. Just appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Saturday. I see it looks like John B. there in Citra watching to hear some thunder down there on Citra. I'll zoom into your area here momentarily. So let me go ahead and get in toward that zone. So we're looking over here toward 301. And there's Citra. There's a lightning strike right there. There's a lightning strike as we're seeing things. That there right in the Citra vicinity. Back that up here and you'll be able to see that it was a little bit ago, but there's more back to the east that you might have heard as well as we look toward the Fort McCoy area. Current mode still has some of that lightning there, and you have more of it up toward Cross Road here with the severe part of this. We'll go to correlation coefficient here. Yeah, that's a hail signature, all right. I mean, that might be what, honestly, this is more impressive than anything else I've seen on this here. The correlation coefficient product of all things here. This is not tornado debris or anything. In this case, this is maybe a hail indicator. And that's why they went quarter size, I think, as we're looking at this product. I think that's why they went quarter size on the hail, because that's a pretty impressive signature around Cross Road. pretty impressive hail signature there in that vicinity as we're looking at the overall Doppler radar algorithms, because we're having to look pretty far up on this. We're having to look, it looks like I'm looking at the other screen here, over 5,000 feet up on the radar beam. So again, just having to try to keep you guys informed here on this. It's pretty rural, but we're just trying to update you. There's now a Roy Pig special weather statement. That's a huge special weather statement here till 5:45. So let's see what they're saying about this at the Weather Service there in toward Jacksonville. We're going to go ahead and give you guys the very latest here. At 5:01, Doppler radar is tracking convergent outflow boundaries and strong thunderstorms capable of producing land spouts over much of the St. Johns River Valley. I've never heard them say that like that before, to be completely honest here. So they think we could have little spins all in this zone here. I don't mean to laugh. Of course, the land spout is technically a really weak tornado, winds of like 50, 60 miles an hour, but that's not out of the question. And that's just an unusual thing for them to say here as we're keeping you guys up to date here on the weather situation. So let me remind you guys of the covered area here real quick. We're trying to give you the latest. We're trying to give you the very latest here. Trying to keep you informed again on this Saturday. Just seeing the overall storm scenario here meteorologically. Just trying to watch everything here on the Doppler perspectives. So important to stay on top of everything. Again, we're going to go ahead and look at the map here right now. We're going to go ahead and look at the map here right now. Northern Putnam County, west of St. Augustine. We also have some lightning here. Again, they're talking about boundaries conversion here. So, I mean, let me get this a little faster because it's kind of something. Let's make these increments. Let's make 5 minutes and let's go an hour. You see some boundaries up in here. And, out toward McClinney's where that advisory goes all the way out that way. This has got to be one of the bigger advisories I've seen them issue for summertime stuff. I mean, sometimes when you have a strong squall line, but it's not quite severe, they'll issue a pretty big box like this. But this is unusual, to be completely honest with you. Let's just measure how big this is in terms of the special weather statement. I mean, this is 70 plus miles north to south. And then the other way we're going to measure it, west to east, east to west, however you want to describe it, that's 45 more miles. And, if you measure it that way, I mean, just a crazy situation there in terms of, they're talking about maybe little spins could happen. There'd not be anything too strong, probably. Not enough right now for any tornado warnings or anything like that. So don't stress out too much here. Most of us will be okay in this in terms of even, probably avoiding storm accidentally. But some of us could get something a little robust. So that's why there's that advisory talking about land spouts, outflow boundaries with gusts around 40 in the overall situation. So that does include Stark technically, as well as Jacksonville, Palatka, Orange Park, Green Cove Springs, Interlochen, Keystone Heights, Callahan, Hastings, and East Palatka. So that's a very big special weather statement there as we're looking at the Doppler perspective. But let's get back down to the south here at our severe thunderstorm warning. Again, you can see what we're dealing with. And that's not showing a whole bunch there, but let's go to this mode because it's showing the hail signature a little bit. I think that's what they're kind of honing in on more than anything at the Weather Service in Jacksonville, that hail signature. Right there around Cross Road, 200th Street there, in toward parts of Marion County. So, again, that's why we're on the air right now with this severe thunderstorm warning situation. Again, just appreciate everybody tuning in here and trusting me on this Saturday, on this 27th day of June, 2026. I know moved into the FSU 14 years ago today. Hard to believe. It's crazy to think about there in terms of that. I posted about that earlier on social media. But again, just trying to give you guys the very latest here. The very latest on the overall meteorological scenario. There's one watching on Facebook right now. We got 11 watching on YouTube. Just appreciate everybody tuning in here and trusting me as I try to give you the latest here to parts of Marion and a little bit of Putnam as well. But again, we do have that special weather statement that gets, a broader zone here, which includes a lot of us in terms of that population density. But again, most of us not going to see anything too crazy here. Most of us not going to see anything too crazy in toward that box. So that's the good news, but still have to be vigilant. Still pay attention. That goes to 5:45, that special weather statement. But this warning here goes to 5:30. So again, that's why we're on the air right now. As we get down on in here, this is southwest of Palatka, northeast of Ocala by a good ways. And again, it's pretty rural out here, but that hail signature went away some. Yeah, that went away some. Let's go to the Tampa radar to see how it might be a little bit different timing. This is on a couple of different hail signatures, but we're looking, how far is that? Oh, that's over 12,000 feet up, so getting pretty far. Let's check the Valdosta radar. It's also 12,000, so Jacksonville by far is our best option here as we keep you guys informed on this situation here on this Saturday with the overall meteorological parameters here. Let me look at those in actual specific detail. I see our hail signatures coming down on other source as well, which is a good sign, but we have instability almost 4,000 joules per kilogram, but toward Palatka, it's almost 5,000 joules per kilogram in terms of the overall available storm energy. So that's interesting to take note of. And then we're going to go ahead and let's see where we're going with this. Temperatures. We're going here with temperatures right now, 84 toward Stark, 90 toward Gainesville, 95 toward Tallahassee. So some spots still more unstable. And we'll look here at the forecast model. I mean, it's tough sometimes, these models. I just said the stuff around Palatka. We talked about that last night, actually. It actually was honing in on some stuff around Palatka here, so it's not completely wrong in that regard. Now let's watch that back one more time. I'll go out. We see our warning. There's one. Technically, there's another out of our area, but in our area, there's one warning, and then we have the special weather statement that kind of catches my attention there. That's so big. But let's go back over to the map again. So the forecast model. You can see there, and I think I might be standing in front of that. Let's do that one more time. I promise I'll get this right on the third time here, just in case I'm standing in front of this here. I know I can't move that one over necessarily, so I'm just going to step into the side stem here, and it starts really quick. So you can see the step there right around Palatka and St. John's for a little bit. So again, we're just going to watch the progress of that to see if things really stay informed here in terms of the overall strong to severe threat, or if things kind of start to diminish. Hopefully it'll, it's going to be localized, but will it, keep warning activity going with these boxes, yellow boxes, or will those go away? That's what we're kind of wondering here right now as I keep you guys informed. Again, you can see all this lightning here around Crossroad, 200th Street. Again, this is, not moving fast at all. It's such a rural area as well. So something that's not, just huge concern, not huge concern, anything like that. But St. Augustine there around 95, we have a heavy downpour. You see heavy downpour into the St. John's. Hope nobody's out there boating because these lightning strikes can be dangerous. As we're looking there north of Federal Point, northeast of Bostwick, and north parts of Duval County. You can see here looking right around Ames Point there, some heavy downpours. Also getting right here into Ward areas there on MLK Junior Parkway. You have here Talleyrand Avenue. Heavy downpours getting going there. Nothing too crazy with the wind, but there's an advisory because of this, the different things coming together with outflow boundaries, maybe little spins. Again, it's not a huge deal, but it's a huge area in terms of the geography, though, with that advisory that goes to 545. I mean, Bradford, Clay. I'm not going to go through all the counties, probably, but St. John, Duval, you kind of get the idea. There's a lot of them, more than the stat in here. As I zoom in, you'll see our county layer. I mean, you can see how many is clipping there with this advisory. So, again, we have the warning to the south. We also have a bunch of lightning here, by the way, out here toward Hamilton County. And you see boundaries over here. Let's zoom in toward areas there southwest of Fargo. It's pretty rural out there, but around Watson there, the Watson community. See Tom Creek Road there. And you can kind of see Double Run Road. As we get back on in here at our severe thunderstorm warning on this Saturday. Again, I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. A little more casual today. in terms of this. As you know, it is a Saturday, not having to do our normal show, but just trying to keep you guys up to date here with these Doppler scans. This warning does go technically until 5:30, but we'll see if they drop it early. If they do, I'll at least keep the radar up so we can have this in here so you guys see how boundaries evolve here. Since we don't have a 5:30 show, I don't have to have this as, something where I'm using, I can keep this as a separate stream. I don't have to use the computer to get ready for a show or anything like that. So that's the storyline there. Again, thanks so much for tuning in on this Saturday. I appreciate everybody tuning in here, trusting me. I see we have Top Cat watching Sunshine there as we're looking toward where they're watching the scenario. So again, just trying to keep you guys, the viewers here, up to date on everything. Let's go ahead and you see Bradford County right now is pretty clear in terms of the radar view, but there is technically an advisory, but we're on for the warning south. Let's get to the satellite here. We're going to get over to the satellite. Water vapor definitely shows some of that moisture at least, but bubbling on up. I think our yellow box just went away, by the way, to the south. So we'll check on that here in a moment. Colder cloud tops here. Let's see if we can get visible. It's daytime, so let's try to pull that up here. You can definitely see here in Bradford, I know some of the breaks in the clouds. But yeah, that warning, I think, just went away. So let me go ahead and check here from the Weather Service. See what they said about it. I mean, we saw some declining signals there. Okay, the storm which prompted a warning has weakened below severe limits. Let me go ahead and move this over so you guys can see that just a little bit better. Okay, so that storm which prompted a warning is weakened below severe limits and no longer poses a threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. However, gusty winds are still possible with the thunderstorm. So that's kind of the storyline right now. Since we don't have any warnings that are still active, I'm going to keep the stream going like I was promising here. But I'm not going to, stay with it in terms of coverage at this point. But since it's a Saturday, I can just keep that radar running here since we're not getting ready for a formal show. I'll leave it running and we'll, just have that on here for everybody at home. I'll go to the Valdosta actually. Granted, I may switch between some just depending on how things look on the Doppler perspective. So we're just going to continue to watch things here. We had the 2 yellow boxes for Marion, and then, one of those didn't get into Putnam County. But we have an advisory right now that's over a large area. No warning, but some spins possible. If we have another warning, I'll be back here immediately. We're watching things for 38 counties in terms of the overall storyline. So just keep it here. Keep it tuned to Cloud Weather on the different platforms. You have the mobile app as well. Cloudweather.com has the different links to that. Over on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. The links are available there near the top of the homepage. So make sure you check that out. Again, if I need to pop back in, I will. So we're tracking things for the covered area. And if I need to come back on, I will. But I'm just going to leave that radar running for the time being here. We're going to pull that on up, and you'll be able to kind of see what's going on here with the overall meteorological scenario as things do progress here toward the different zones. So I think that can be helpful. The lightning counter is something that's really helpful, I think, to give you guys an overall scope of what's going on. Granted, some of it sometimes does count stuff out of, sometimes it does count stuff out of the viewing area, but just because of the tilt and the angles. But we're also seeing some stuff, a little bit of rain toward Wakulla starting to fire up, I'm noticing. As I'm gonna go ahead and go back over to that radar now. We'll leave that up. If I need to come back on, I will. But for now, thanks for tuning in and trusting me. But I'm going to leave the stream going, so don't go anywhere, and I'll pop right in here if we get any more warnings. But we're just going to leave the radar running. I appreciate your support here on this Saturday. Everybody tuning in here and trust in me as I give you guys the latest on the inclement conditions. All the different viewers watching, just appreciate you guys. Just everybody watching here, as we're tracking things on all the different platforms on this Saturday. So that's going to do it for now here on the 27th day of June 2026. If I need to pop back in with more coverage, I will. But it's going to leave this running for the time being. Stay tuned. Stay safe here. Hopefully we won't have, any more warnings. Don't want a slew of warnings for sure. I know we've had days like that here lately. Today, hopefully, it won't be like that, but that one little corridor there on Palaca still has some potential. And you see a lot of lightning in northeastern Duval County, so we might not be off long here with coverage. So, going to leave this going. I'll be back here as conditions require. Stay safe. This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud back here in the Weather Center right now to give you guys the latest here on now. A new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Putnam County. That's where it's focused at here as we're looking toward Palatka until about 6:15. I know the modeling yesterday night when I was doing on our half-hour weather discussion show, it was, showing there the HRRR was the potential for a storm around Palatka in toward the evening, and here we are. So the models have been kind of off lately. Well, this right here, seemingly kind of catching the accent. So that's what we were looking at yesterday in terms of that modeling, and today we actually have the storm accent here in toward that area, in toward the picture. So let's go ahead here and we'll zoom on in toward the Palatka area. As we keep you guys informed, we have some wind energy here within a Doppler algorithm, so just got to be very mindful here. Let me see what I can kind of pull on up in terms of some of the information, in terms of some of the different color tables. You can see here right around 100 as you're getting into Palatka, some pretty strong winds. I mean, this makes it look stronger, but I'm showing this because there is that potential for a burst of wind, maybe to 60 in a small area here. So I just want to make sure I can see where the strongest winds are to indicate where the highest potential in theory would be here, even though it's not something like what you would see another time of year where it's more widespread with the wind potential in another part of the country. This is more pulse stuff. It kind of bounces up in terms of its intensity and then bounces right back down. So at 5:38, a severe thunderstorm was located over Palatka, moving north at 10 miles an hour. Palatka, Interlochen, as well as East Palatka, Orange Mills, Barden, Hollister, Satsuma, San Mateo, Caraway, and Manville. So I know it's right there in the Palatka area. They're saying north, but it's really northeast. I would say that's what our skit's saying as I go ahead and put this into motion here. So again, the west side of Palatka getting into some of this here and going to be getting into more deteriorating conditions in the minutes to come as I kind of tilt the map back so we get a little bit a better look at this in some ways as I try to keep you guys informed here. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning for Palatka. Granted, it's the west side of Palatka that might end up getting a little bit worse here. Some of that's happening now in toward this zone. I mean, you can see even that last scan, that last surge there of wind around Reed Street kind of showing that potential there. So nothing overwhelming. This is summertime. I mean, I know we're doing more covers than most folks do for summertime stuff, to be completely honest. But when we have a severe thunderstorm warning, we got to take it seriously. I feel like, I don't want to be crying wolf here. I feel like I'm, on a lot with these, but these can be dangerous in these localized areas here. So we just have to be very mindful as I look at my big board to see if we have any new warnings. This is the only one. Again, we just have to be careful. That stuff can pulse up, pulse down. I mean, you can get stuff this time of year without a warning that can be dangerous. And that's why you want to have that Cloud Weather mobile app, because you can get lightning alerts, rainfall alerts there as well. I know the links to that on cloudweather.com. You have interactive radar on cloudweather.com/radar. I know just look for Cloud Weather though in the Google Play Store or in the Apple App Store. It's listed as KC Cloud Weather. But again, the listings are on cloudweather.com if you want to, and that's with an S, cloudweather.com, no apostrophe on the web address. So just trying to give you some additional methods here. And of course, as these warnings pop up, we had the radar going here. So it was something you could see as soon as it got issued, even though it takes a few minutes to go ahead and get on, get the mic on, get the suit jacket on, things like that. But it's a situation here where you got the alert on that, on the stream popping on up pretty quick. But also, when we're not streaming continuous, you have facebook.com/cloudsweather. So, and twitter.com or x.com/cloudswx updates. So it says, that gives you automated alerts when we're, seeing storms evolve here with warnings. So around Springside, around Barden there, around Reed Street, getting on in there, St. John's Avenue, Weaver Road, Peter Street there, Oak Street, Gillis Street again, trying to keep you guys informed here. Some stronger winds on the west side of Palatka on this leading edge. Going to be over to St. John's River here too. Ultimately, some of that might be more on the north side of Palatka as we have our warning here in play. And I put this into motion here. I go ahead and put this into motion. You can kind of see what we're dealing with in terms of the overall picture. Now it's going kind of slow. So let me go ahead. I'm going to switch this over real quick so I can make this go a little bit longer, and we'll do like 5-minute increments here. So let's put this into motion. You can kind of see that involvement here of the storm acts, and it's moving so slow. A lot of heavy rainfall there along State Road 100. Those torrential downpours. If you're like coming back from the beach today from like Flagler, you're going along, the road here. We're talking about State Road 20 in this area or State Road 100 up in here. So again, just need to be very mindful of this. Could be pretty nasty. That's not the funnest road to go on anyway. And with this heavy downpour activity, it can lead to vehicle accidents. As we look at 1 hour rainfall, or no, this is 3 hour, but really probably in the last hour, about an inch there as we look here toward areas there on State Road 20. So I'm going to zoom on in. Now it's over an inch. And then State Road 100 will be getting there soon. So again, just trying to keep you informed as we look at the latest. It is 5:53 right now on this Saturday. It is June 27th, 2026. That might be a candidate for a warning pretty soon. I know I saw this stuff in Putnam and was getting the radar on there right before that warning got issued. This looks like it could be trying to uptick some right there into Duval County, into parts of Jacksonville around Beach Boulevard. So we'll have to just watch. And the winds don't look like a lot if you're like, maybe not watching from our area. You're comparing it to other storms in other parts of the country. But these can have that quick burst of wind energy to get to 60, and that's why they issue the warnings there at the different offices. This is, everybody else would in other parts of the country for generally what would be more organized convexing in terms of a longer line and more sustained. But we just have to be mindful here of the overall situation as we're looking across our 38 counties to keep everybody here locally safe. Let's see if there's any questions, comments here, and we're keeping you guys up to date on the situation. I see we have, looks like we have a viewer there talking about Deaton Rain and Keystone, and then park trailers rocking there in the villages, and then Jim just watching things as well. So again, just appreciate everybody tuning in here on this Saturday. As we're looking into toward parts of Putnam County. Again, we have a severe thunderstorm warning, including Palatka, but it's also including there's State Road 100 as you get west of Palatka around Barden Road, Old Stark Road, ironically, there in toward Putnam County. But again, trying to keep you guys up to date on the situation here. You can see Davis Lake Road. You can see areas there around Silver Lake Drive. Again, trying to keep you guys informed here on that severe warning. You see a lot of lightning in Duval. Let's see, last 15 minutes, that started to really strengthen there. The uptick on the lightning counter above my head, going from like the 30s to the 80s there. I mean, it's upticking pretty rapidly, in fact, as we're looking there east side of Duval, and it's not far from the beach. So you got to be careful there. If you hear thunder roar, go indoors. I mean, some of these lightning strikes could kind of strike further away from the apparent storm. I mean, look at this. Right here in Duval County, we have, as I put the arrow on, some of this almost 4 miles from the storm. So you got to be really, really careful whenever thunder roars. Go indoors here, because if this is a cloud of ground strike, you're not getting the rain yet, but you're getting the thunder activity, and it's not just about hearing the noise. You actually could have a lightning strike in your area, or have some different boundaries involved. It could be a real serious scenario, house fire, or even somebody getting struck. Not out of the question on some of that type of stuff. As we get back here down toward the south, though, I think they just gone ahead and dropped the warning. So let's go ahead and see what the latest is here. These are so marginal that it doesn't take much one way or the other to get a warning, and it doesn't take much to drop the warning here this time of year. I was going to check our lightning counter on this, the last 15, as I zoom out, and we'll watch it from the start. It was in the 50s, and it actually went up into the 70s. That's kind of an unusual case here, in that we had more lightning, but they've gone ahead and decided to drop the severe warning, it looks like. So let me go ahead and see what the latest is there from the Weather Service. Okay, so they're saying, as I look here, the storm which prompted a warning for parts of Putnam has weakened below severe limits and no longer poses an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. However, gusty winds are still possible with the thunderstorm, but not sure I want to go off quite yet because of what I'm seeing in Duval County there. As we're looking just west of Jax Beach, we just had a 43-mile-an-hour wind gust there on Fort Caroline, Jacksonville, Craig, there, that airport side. You see in the Craig Municipal Airport, a gust of 43. And we're seeing some strengthening activity. So let's go ahead and jump to the north here, into toward parts of Duval. And we may get a yellow box here pretty soon. With all these weird boundaries, it's not impossible, not completely impossible. I'm not expecting it, but it's not completely impossible to get a little bit of a spin all of a sudden and get a quick tornado warning for 5 minutes and be done. That's not impossible here, right in the metro like this. Sometimes you can see stuff pretty clear on the radar if there's some green and red that tries to get together, not a downburst, but actual rotation. Just real quick. So they talked about land spout potential earlier, so just got to be kind of careful here. I've seen it before. I've seen it on the weekend before, so just got to be kind of careful here in Duval County with some of this here. Right now it looks like there's some stronger winds, but we can't. It's hard to tell here. Let's go ahead and put the other color palette on. I mean, you can see around Beechwood there and Gate Parkway North, J. Turner Butler Boulevard. We're watching this and the Mars rain chances. I know we had about 30 for today. It probably ended up being about 40. There are western counties not seeing as much tomorrow. Same type of deal, but Monday, Tuesday look like 70% chances for rain. And we could even have, I'll go to the satellite real quick. I'm not sure how good we're going to see it on here in terms of anything, but we could end up having something to our east here above tropically. There's a small chance of that here as we look toward early next week. We're just talking about more rain here in the forecast right now. I'm not turning the logo red or anything like that at this point. We'll monitor it here. But, if something changes, I'll let you know. But right now, only a 20% chance of development according to the Hurricane Center. Let me just double check here because I want to make sure I'm getting these numbers right while I'm on here with you. Okay, so low pressure is expected to form offshore the southeastern coast of the United States there along the western end of a frontal system. And it's something that's early next week that could happen. Slow development is possible, and it could move west afterwards. So 40 hours, no real threat development, but after that it's 20%. We have a boundary out there, and you just could start to see some of that spin along and come back toward the west a little. So the warm Gulf Stream type of waters. So we'll have to pay attention to that here. We're also paying attention to the storm in Duval County right now. It's just a strong thunderstorm. We had a warning for Putnam that they canceled. We're just going to pay attention here in the word Duval. Looks like we got a new advisory now at 6:30. Let me go ahead and see the latest on this. Gonna zoom around. We're also gonna watch the heat here coming up. We have the rain Monday, Tuesday. Well, the heat's gonna be, the temperature's higher tomorrow. We're gonna be seeing some of that on Monday, and then toward the 4th of July, we could have some heat dangers here as well that I'll be talking about here. So make sure you stay tuned with all that. Not in this update necessarily, but in the days to come, hours and days to come. But wind gust up to 50. I know. Check out my Cloud Weather at 5:30 and social media post there for all the latest on the heat for 4th of July potentially. But wind gust up to 50. UNF, Ponte Vedra Beach, Jax Beach, Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, Palm Valley, Sawgrass, Bay Meadows, Bayard, and San Pablo. So that is moving there off toward the southeast at 15 miles an hour. Although I know we didn't end up getting any rain here around Stark. We were in that advisory, but things just how it is this time of year. Just not necessarily seeing that wind here, or really too much, but definitely not the rain. And then we're seeing toward eastern Duval, though, again, 43 gust earlier on, and then this is moving off toward the southeast at 15 miles an hour. So let's do a storm track on this here. You can see our sketch, but I'm just going to do a manual one. I know some of this kind of wants to switch direction on us some. So southeast at 15. So Jax Beach there around 6:18, and Palm Valley around 6:38. So again, just kind of giving you guys an idea of what to anticipate here. I know tracking things on this Saturday, a little more casual here, but it's all about just trying to give you guys the very latest to inform and protect you, your friends, and your family. So I know it's just another day here having to be on with some of these severe weather concerns towards some of these 38 counties. It's all about updating you guys the best we can here in the Weather Center. So looking like we have some different folks watching here. We have Joel watching. Could there be water spouts? Well, we've had some type of little bit of weak rotation activity with at least land spout potential. So we'll monitor it as the action gets to the coastal waters. I know we're focused here on our 38 counties here. I do appreciate the kind words, but I'm focused on the 38 counties here. And there, one of our viewers asking about, the weather coverage here, and then, just in terms of geography. And then we also have, just really trying to focus here on the 38 counties there. as we're looking at the comments. It's all about giving you guys the latest. I used to do national weather a few years ago, but no, it's about that local commitment to our 38 counties here. You know, there's some other great meteorologists, other parts of the country. They do a great job covering their areas, but this is my coverage area here, trying to give you guys the very latest on things. So, you know, this is where we're committed to giving you guys the latest information here in terms of the 38 counties. It's honestly, you know, we got a lot. I mean, I've been on every day since like the 8th of the month. So it's a lot, not a lot to handle anyway. So there are other great meteorologists, other parts of the country that can cover things into different zones. But no, I'm committed to these 38 counties here. Used to do 62 as well with the tornado covered up until the beginning of May. But no, it's all about these 38 counties. That's my commitment to you guys since, you know, we made these upgrades here and the like. It's these 38 counties here because, you know, I want to be as thorough as possible, providing you guys the very latest here in toward our different zones here in terms of the overall meteorology. So, again, just trying to be really thorough here with the latest weather data. So, that's what it's all about here. That's what it's all about. So, we don't have any warnings popping up right now. If there's any more questions, comments. Don't see anything there, but I'm gonna go ahead and jump back on over here toward the key wall. As you can kind of see here, toward Duval, we have another storm now. Loop that in terms of some strengthening. We're seeing that there. You know, because you could really see it on the wind mode is why I say another storm, because you know, didn't really have much of the green and red in the last couple scans. Like maybe a downburst right there around the Jacksonville Heights area. Maybe not quite as severe, but it's possible there. And then as we get here toward the eastern parts of Duval County, you can kind of see here around Deerwood Club, Stockade, Beechwood. We're just going to monitor it. I'm going to have the stream going, so if I need to jump back in, I'll be on here pretty quick with this. You'll see the yellow box as soon as it happens. Same for this word to strengthen again down there into the St. John, north of Palatka. You know, it's moved, the worst is moved kind of on the north side of Palatka, but still whenever that thunder is rumbling, you need to stay inside and be away from those windows. So, going to leave the radar running here. Again, if I need to pop back in, I will. Again, we're trying to give you the latest here for the 38 counties. Just trying to keep you guys up to date here on the weather situation. So, again, just trying to update you guys here on things. Just trying to update you guys here on things in terms of the overall weather scenario. So, we're going to let's go ahead and switch a couple things around. We're going to throw that radar back on up here now. And again, if I need to pop back in, I will. I do appreciate everybody tuning in, trusting me. I appreciate your support here. I just, you know, really focusing on the 38, not, you know, I just want to make sure, you know, I get these covered here adequately. That's what it's all about here at Cloud Weather, this commitment to these zones here, just in reference to the YouTube questions and comments there. But again, thanks so much for tuning in here for now. Meteorologist Casey Cloud. I'm going to wrap it, and I'll be back here as conditions warrant. So keep the stream up here, and I'll maybe have to pop back in with my voice here in front of the wall, things like that. I just keep it tuned right here as I monitor the overall weather scenario for North Florida and South Georgia and our local zones. This is a clouds weather alert. Meteorologist Casey Cloud breaking back in here at 6:15 on a Saturday. New severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Duval and St. John's here until about 6:45. So seeing some more of this activity here within the Doppler algorithms. Just trying to keep you guys up to date here on things. This is toward I-95 there as we're watching the overall view. So you can see around Greenland, around Loretto, some of the worst. This Bayard there will be getting into this here soon. So just definitely monitoring things. They're looking at my different monitors to try to keep you guys up to date on the overall scenario. It looks like we have a storm around Green Cove. Some of this accent around there starting to get going on this boundary now, so I have to watch that too. As 30% chance of rain becomes quite a few warnings here on this Saturday as we're looking at everything on the Doppler radar perspective. So again, that's, really the coverage has probably been like 40%. So it wasn't that far off. It's just we're getting a lot of these areas here with the heat and humidity to fire up and turn into severe potential here in terms of everything that's ongoing. I know we're missing a lot of upper air data across the country that's messing up the models, probably more so for other areas of the country than even us. We have the afternoon storm stuff here that we have to just contend with here. It's that time of year for North Florida, for South Georgia, and that's what we're dealing with right now, and that's why we're on live with you. So let me go ahead and give you the update here at 6:08. A severe thunderstorm was located near Bay Meadows or near Mandarin there. Moving south at about 15 miles an hour. So 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail, Fruit Cove, as well as Durbin, Nocatee, and Bayard. So again, this warning does include parts of Duval. It includes parts of St. John's, a severe thunderstorm warning. We don't have anything in terms of like tornadic warnings around here right now, but we're going to monitor things, obviously, and toward our 38 counties, that commitment to you guys. So again, jumping in for this severe thunderstorm warning right now, though, as I look between the different monitors. Let me see if there's any new questions, new comments here from anybody watching at home. Just appreciate you guys tuning on in, sticking with me. We have 10 of you guys right there on YouTube watching at this point in time. So again, just appreciate everybody tuning on in here. We'll watch for maybe a little week. Area rotation to develop. Look like there's a little bit of something maybe right here around Racetrack Road. Yeah, a little bit around Pine Bluff there. It's not a lot though, but it's at least, if nothing else, it's wind enhancement. So let's go over to the, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. I mean, that's only shows 33, but this time of year stuff can happen on a really localized level here. Another area of wind enhancement as we get east of Stockade on San Pablo Road. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Duval and St. John's here until 6:45. As I look at my monitors to see the latest here, that's the only warning we have locally at this moment, but that can always change here pretty rapidly. Let's go ahead here and we'll zoom back in. We'll tilt this back down. We were just talking about this storm earlier before we went off. With this convection maybe becoming an issue for a warning. And it's going a little more southerly now, but Fruit Cove, Durbin, and Nocatee, and Bayard there. So south at 15 is what they're saying. I'll probably track it east. No, south-southeast would be the best way to track it. So let's go ahead and do it like that. And we're going to move that over. Let me zoom out just a little bit more here. Kind of a little bit different way of tracking this. And then I got to switch over some of the other information here. You can see Bayard, Blacks Ford, as well as Clarksville, Florence, Sampson, Elwood, Whites Ford, over toward Durbin, Hilton, and Bakersville. And we're giving you guys the very latest here. So again, we're seeing a lot of lightning in that one area there. We're seeing a lot into or downtown Jax too. You're not under the warning in downtown Jax. There's another area right around Riverside, around Post Street and Stockton Street, Riverside Avenue. That's pretty strong. San Marco there, St. Nicholas. But you can kind of see here toward the south. That's where we have the concern. That's where we have the greater concern here with some of the storm convection that's in play. Pine Bluff, Loretto, Greenland, Sunbeam, Stockade, Deerwood Club. So again, just trying to keep you up to date here. Parts of Duval and parts of St. John's there until 6:45. Gonna go ahead and keep looking here. I may go ahead and try to pull up some traffic cameras here on I-95. So let's go ahead and we'll start the effort of that. So let's go ahead and remind you guys of where we're at here. We're in Bradford, but we're giving you guys the latest for the 38 counties. I know we're at 86 degrees here east of Stark right now. Highest one we got was 14 miles an hour earlier. Not too crazy, but a little bit gusty there. But I'm going to try to get up some traffic cams. It's just a one-man band, so it's going to take me just a moment here. Just a moment in terms of the very latest here. Again, trying to keep you informed. I'm going to look at my monitors here. We're right into the Duval St. John's line with some of this. Let's see if I can get the best view possible. Okay, we'll do I-95 north of Old St. Augustine Road. Let me go ahead and I'm getting that one up now. Just appreciate you tuning in here and trusting me. Okay, so we're going to try to get that up here. Okay, so here we go. This is that view there. We're looking I-95 north of Old St. Augustine Road, and you can see the slick conditions. Folks, that are lights on this Saturday. So this is the 27th day of June 2026, and we're watching a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Duval and St. Johns counties. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Duval and St. Johns until 6:45. So we just need to be mindful here of the overall inclement conditions as we're looking toward this part. Technically, a lot of folks do call this here, even though we're not right down at the coast. I mean, Northeast Florida, the first coast region here has some of this activity ongoing here at this hour, at least, in toward that, the counties that comprise it. So again, I just trying to update you guys here as the overall scenario does, just develop here. As, things have deteriorated on that camera. I'm looking at my other monitor. I'm watching that. We'll keep our eyes on it, but let's go ahead and move away from it for now. We're going to move away from it for right now here. Just trying to keep you guys up to date. Again, just trying to keep you guys up to date. Going between all the different sources here. Okay, so we're just looking at everything. I'm looking at my screens. And we're going to go ahead and you see a lot of lightning around Green Cove. A lot of lightning north of Palatka. Got some stuff there in Camden County that's pretty strong. There's sometimes, seeing a little bit of opposing winds right here. This isn't in the actual line, but something to watch here because let's just watch the loop on this. We could end up seeing a little spin along this. Got to be a little alert for that. Right here around Sampson and St. John's Parkway. So we're just going to continue to watch this situation as it evolves. I just don't want a red box to pop up on us here on the local level without, advance heads up. These are really hard to pick out this time of year. I mean, this, it looks like that we might have a boundary here, and if this about to interact, it could cause some turning here. Let me go to a different mode. I haven't gone to this other mode very much. Trying to just pick out a boundary. Just gotta watch for some different elements here as we're looking northern parts of St. John, southern Duval here with this severe thunderstorm warning. So 6:45, the expiration on this polygon, as we're keeping you guys informed. Just checking things here with the Doppler progressing. Again, we're giving you guys the latest for our 38 counties, that commitment to our local viewers here. Let's check some of the rainfall. We'll go over to hydro. We're going to go to 6 hour, but really it's a lot less time than that. 7/10 of an inch, 9/10 of an inch. Again, trying to keep you informed here. You can see the boundary here coming together around the St. John's. Some different interactions here with the overall weather picture. Just checking for some different things. Maybe some, I'm looking for hail, but I didn't really see anything that stood really out on the one mode. But here's something that shows some of that potential around, looks like areas there are around Loretto. Again, trying to keep you informed here. A lot of this stuff right here in Northeast Florida, you see another advisory now popping up. It's a bigger area. They may, sometimes when we get one of those to pop up like that, they may be wanting to drop the yellow box. We'll see. But let's loop here. I mean, that happened earlier. That's why I'm seeing it like that. But the lightning counter wouldn't necessarily suggest that because it's still about steady state here. But I'm just going to continue here to give you the latest. I mean, there isn't quite as much maybe with wind. That latest scan, that boundary can also, if we don't get the spin, sometimes you can get some interactions when we see that, and it can actually cause things to start to try to weaken. But I'm looking at the lightning counter, and the last scan did start to tick down a little bit. And I think they just dropped a warning. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what they're saying here. Check the information from the Jacksonville office. Okay, so the storm was prompted. The warning has weakened below severe limit to no longer pose an immediate threat to life or property. Therefore, the warning has been canceled. However, gusty winds are still possible with the thunderstorm. So we'll still monitor that. And we have some development around Green Cove now that we have to monitor down there toward the St. John's, and seeing some strengthening there. We'll just have to kind of look here. I mean, the last scan of the lightning was a little lower, but that's picking up on the stuff to the north. So let's zoom in tighter. It's definitely picking up in that little area there, that little square or rectangle, however you want to describe it here, where we're getting the lightning counter to track it, the whole screen, including under the banner. So right around Green Cove Springs, there's some lightning, some heavy downpours at least. Could end up turning severe, but no warning there right now. No more active warnings, but let's remind you guys of the lightning safety. Whenever thunder roars, you do need to go indoors here. As we're seeing things, this lightning, remember, it can strike miles away from the parent storm. And then we also have your power outage information. Let's kind of see some of that here at this point in time. We're going to update you guys on that. You can see Duval a little bit in the way of outages, Nassau and Baker, but that's about it here at this point. Let's go to a different mode just to verify some stuff with that, though. We're going to go over to the current. We're going to go to county power outage total. Marion does have 100. Duval's on 600. Nassau's 200. So nothing too overwhelming. Not like we had the other day when we had 20,000 in Duval. So that's the good news. We're going to watch the trends. If we get another warning, we'll pop back in here You still have some pretty strong storm acts, and again, the thunder, around indicating that lightning threat whenever that thunder roars again. Go indoors as I'm just scanning between everything here. We're just going to keep looking. I'll check for questions here, comments, see if we have any new things from our viewers, and don't see anything right now, but just appreciate everybody tuning on in on the different platforms, whether it's Facebook there, Twitter/X, YouTube, Twitch, just all about trying to give you guys the very latest. I'm going to go back to the radar stream for now here. As we look at everything, I'll just remind you guys of our counties as the situation does evolve. Again, we'll be here. We're going to be here and give you the details here. If it's warranted with more coverage, we'll have the warning pop up, and then we'll pop back in with commentary momentarily after the warning pops up. That's how we've been doing the last couple, and that's how we'll keep doing it here if it's required. Any more live coverage here as we watch the different boundaries, the different storm activity here toward the 38 counties. I just really appreciate you guys tuning in. Stay safe. Enjoy that weekend. I know next weekend's the 4th of July, so it's going to be busy for a lot of folks, whether, good or just in terms of just, having to work it even, just different things. So, that's good too in a lot of ways, just to enjoy things here, the festive mood toward our different communities here. Just so exciting, obviously. So, let me go ahead and just see here. Gonna go ahead and set that radar back up. We'll leave it running, and I'll be back here as conditions warrant. Here in terms of the overall storyline. I'll be covering things here for you if it's warranted with more yellow boxes. We've had a few of them. I think 4 of them, if I'm counting right here today. I know the days kind of blend together after a while, but we've had 4, I think it is. So, hopefully that'll do it for today as we look at everything. As we look at the information, just going to double check here some things. We had 2, one from Marion, one to Marion and Putnam. Then we had the Putnam area, and then we had the Duval and St. John's. So another day of summer here, summertime storm acts, and we'll see if there's any more warnings. If there are, we'll be back on. I mean, the coverage of these, hasn't been just really widespread, and that Stark hadn't got anything here as we're watching, but a lot of lightning toward the east. It's the summertime for our area, and we're going to be here for you, giving you guys the very latest. Make sure you download the Cloud Weather app there, the mobile app. You can even send storm damage photos if it's safe into that. They're over on that mobile app, available in the Google Play Store, Cloud Weather, and the Apple App Store there, KC Cloud Weather. So just make sure you guys are keeping, all of that in terms of just being careful. Like if there's a down power line, you just got to be, being very careful and staying away from that for sure. Don't put yourself in harm's way to get any pictures or just in general, obviously. So really important, just want everybody to stay safe here with these, conditions that at points can be adverse, but some of you guys, are seeing nicer weather. It's not that bad around here around Stark right now, 86. Haven't had any storms, just, a little bit of a breeze earlier, a 14, give or take, and nothing too crazy. But we'll keep watching to see if things change. This time of year, you have to watch the radar trends minute by minute, hour by hour. I'll be doing that here for you. For now, have a great night.